Hello and welcome to this Hearthstone video. My name is Deathfrosty, also known as Frosty, and today I'm going to rant a bit about the new priest common that will be added in Karazhan, One Night in Karazhan expansion. Purify. What is Purify? 2 mana, common card, silence, friendly minion, draw a card. Holy crap, did Hearthstone dev team fuck up with this card. It's not bad, it's so much under the fucking power scale that we need negative scaling here. It's possible that this is actually the worst card they have ever created. There are 0 reasons to play this card. And I'm going to go through every single way I can think of how the dev team screwed this card up. First of all, let's start with the class it was given, since it's really fast to cover. They gave this scrap of used toilet paper to Priest, the weakest class in current generation of the game. There's no Priest in Constructed. Every single player whom used to play Priest before the Old Gods expansion and was good with them has turned away from Priest. Why? Because they cannot compete with the current meta decks in any way, shape or form. Well, now note here that I do understand that someone has to be the worst every time they roll out a new expansion, but so far there has been no meta before now where one of the 9 classes is completely opts out, since it cannot be played. The Priest is at the moment lacking all the tools to reach the 50% win rate that is required to reach Legend rank, but not only is Priest weak in Constructed, it's also one of the weaker arena classes. There are numbers for this that people can get if they care enough, but to keep it short, Priest has really weak pick to win ratio in arena, and at this time Priest needs playable new cards to make it at least semi-viable, but Purify is not hitting that mark by a long shot. Making it common adds even more insult to injury on occurrence bonus on the arena, because you're 4 times more likely to get this card to be one of the 3 cards you need to pick up than any other card in the arena. So, why is this card so bad that it's not viable in any way? Well, first of all, the effect of the card is really bad. Silence a friendly minion, draw a card. So, not only do you need to have a minion on board to use this to draw a card, but you also need to have something that you would prefer to silence. Let's quickly list reasons why would you want to silence your own minion. You need to remove a frozen effect. You need to remove corruption. Your card was humiliated. Your card was equalized, hunter marked, repentanced, and for some reason not killed. Your minion was keeper of Uldamant and not killed. You want to remove unwanted death rattle. Remove an enemy blessing of wisdom, power or glory. You want to remove a word from the card that stops it from acting. Those are all the reasons I could come up with why you would silence your own minions. Now let's break it apart and then I'll move to the negatives. At the moment, there are 3 semi-common freeze effects in Constructed meta, and even though from those 2 are quite rare. There are Frostbolt, Water Elemental, and Blizzard. All mage cards that are rarely seen, since mage is not super popular at the moment. Of course, there's Frost Nova, Frost Shock, Demender, Frost Caller, Frost Elemental, Cone of Cold, and Snow Chugger. Oh, and Ice Lance. But those see as much play as, Priest has crossed rank 5 this season. Corruption. No one plays Corruption. Only way you see this card is from Peddler, and even then, most other cards are more useful than the Corruption. So, your minion's health was set to 1. Usually they won't live through that turn, and, silencing that, not an option. But if, for some reason, a minion lives through that turn, and you get the chance to silence it to bring its health back up, you'll probably do it. This is one of the few cases where it's semi-useful to silence your own card. Minion got hit by Keeper of Uldaman, Paladin only card. And you're already in deep water with this class because Priest against Paladin, Paladin usually wins with the 1/1s that keep just smacking your face in. Anyway, if your endgame minion is turned into 3/3 and it survives for some reason, silencing it, okay, you might need that bigger body to win the game, but usually the bigger endgame cards that the priest tend to use have effects that you want to trigger when they die or at the end of turn, like Ysera, Ragnaros. Well, in some fringe cases, the new Deathwing. Well, do you really want to silence those? No, you don't. So yeah, this is another one in the fringe case pile. You want to remove a death rattle for something like Corrupted Healbart or the Beast. Okay, it will help you, but remember, you're paying 2 extra mana for this, and basically, in case of a Corrupted Healbot, you're turning 5 mana 6/6, that heals opponent 8 when it dies, to a 7 mana 6/6 draw a card. Slightly better than Ancient of Lore, but very much not worth it. Especially when shamans have 4 mana 7/7. Humility effects happen only against paladins, and again, bad matchup, so you're already fucked there. But most of the priest minion cards have low attack anyway, so humility is not often the end of be all for priest classes. Sure, getting back to 3 or 4 attack is good, but yeah. Again, humility effects not as impactful against priest than other classes that have more aggressive cards. You want to remove Blessing of Wisdom, Powerword Glory from your minion that the opponent has casted. Okay, Powerword Glory never sees play, because there's no priest to play it. Simple as that. Blessing of Wisdom. While in some aggressive paladin decks, usually people find Divine Favor to be more effective than the Blessing of Wisdom. So it is really little play, so that's not really a case at all. Side note, I just noticed how this card is mostly beneficial against paladin debuffs, but that's about it. What are the situations when you don't want to silence your own minion? When it has beneficial effects. When it's buffed. Oh, would you look at that? There's quite a few minions that priests play, or played, that you don't want to silence. Only minions you feel comfortable silencing are Battlecry minions. Let's make a list of priest-only cards that are standard viable at the moment, and you wouldn't want to silence. There's Northshire Cleric, Holy Champion, Hooded Acolyte, Lightspawn, Twilight Whelp, Arcanized Soul Priest, Lightwhelp, Shifting Shade, Spawn of Shadows, Wormrest Agent, Shadow Fiend, Confessor Paletress, Prophet Felon, and the new priest card, Priest of the Feast, which is 4 mana 3/6. When you cast a spell card, restore 3 health. And what other cards you would, from the priest current standard, you would be okay silencing? Museum Curator, Darkshire Alchemist, Twilight Darkmentor, Cabal Shadow Priest, Temple Enforcer, Herald of Volage, and the new card Onyx Bishop, 5 mana 3/4 card that has a resurrection effect. Basically brings back random minion that died during this game from your side. And, you might make a small exceptions with Arcanized Soul Priest and Spawn of Shadows. You might want to silence those off if, you're running out of health and you need to heal. That's the only reason. But usually when you put these into the deck and you play them, it's in a situation where you need the damage instead of healing. So those are really small fringe cases. But still, I'm just laying the information out there and telling like how it is. But when you look at these numbers, there are twice as many cards you don't want to silence in standard priest set at the moment that you want to silence. That seems a really bad proportion to me. 14 against 7. That's... I don't think that is going to really work. Also, silence removes buffs. Oh! Priest is one of the classes that have buffs that help him to make beneficial trades and basically rely on them? Oh gee, it sounds like silencing own minions would be a detrimental to this class. Yeah, there's no reason to have this silence effect here. So, reasons to silence your own minions are quite niche. But wait, I'm not done. Remember this card costs 2 mana to play? 2 mana. Why? Well, priests already have a 0 mana silence that can silence anyone, or any minion, yours or enemies. Okay, and that's his no play. So, why are you paying 2 mana for this? For the card draw. Fine. Card draw is valuable, so you would guess that 2 mana is fair for this card. Wrong! Let's see what other classes have for similar card draw. Druid. Mark of Yasharaj. 2 mana, give minion +2/+2, and if it's a beast, draw a card. Okay, so you have to have a minion to play this, but it gives +2/+2. It's beneficial. And, okay, it doesn't always draw a card, but if it happens to be a beast, you get a card. It's a bonus. It's not the main effect. The main effect is getting +2/+2 on the minion. But if it happens to be a beast, well, you also get a card. Very good. Very flexible. Wrath. 2 mana, deal 3 damage to a minion, or deal 1 damage to a minion and draw a card. Very flexible. It has a competitive damage, and you can choose which one to use. If you need the card draw, you can use it. And also, this effect can be combined with Fandral Staghelm. So it does, for 2 mana, 4 damage, and draws a card. For the hunters, there's King Salek. 2 mana, 3/2. Joust, which is you draw random cards from each of the player's deck and see which one has the highest mana cost. It's always a minion. If your minion has higher mana cost, put that card in your hand. Okay. Well, it's not 100% draw, and your enemy sees what you drew, but it's 3/2. It's very good stat line for a minion that might draw a card. Might. Not always, but still you don't drop behind because you played it 3/2 on turn 2, possibly. Quick draw. 2 mana, deal 3 damage. If your hand is empty, draw a card. Okay. Well, it can be used as a removal or face damage, and has the added benefit that if it happens to be your last card, well, look at that, you get an extra card. This is on par with similar spell damage, spell effects like Frostbolt, Lightning Bolt, any other like that, 3 damage 2 mana spells basically. And if it, happens to be that you have an empty hand, you draw a card. Okay, that seems fair to me. Then there's Flare. 2 mana, destroy all enemy secrets, reveal stealth minions, draw a card. At worst, this is 2 mana, draw a card. At best, it destroys X amount of secrets and reveals enemy and your own stealth minions. This card sees very little play, but it has benefits. You can use it if you want to for, your benefit. It has a chance to be very powerful. Mage. Arcane Intellect. 3 mana, draw 2 cards. Okay, it's more expensive than Purify, but it does give you 2 cards. 1 card for 1.5 mana, which is more economic than 1 for 2. So this can be argued, but I would say that paying 1 mana for more to draw 2 cards without any special terms or caveats is better than paying 2 mana and silencing your own minion. For Paladins, Divine Favor, which is 3 mana, and requires that enemy has more cards in his hand than you do, but it has potential to draw up to 10 cards. Yeah, if you have only this card when you play it, and the enemy has full hand, you get 10 cards for 3 mana. That's very efficient. Of course, that doesn't happen too often, but many aggressive paladins tend to draw 2 to 4 cards regularly with this card. So it's much more efficient card draw than Purify could ever be. Also, Solemn Vigil, while initially 5 mana, the cost can be dropped to 0 if you happen to have board clears or you trade your minions to do the board clearing. And the fact that paladins have the power to clear the board very easily with few cards, it's quite often that you can get 0 mana Solemn Vigil if you have built the deck for it. And you can even argue that you can get it easily to 2 to 3 mana, which is again 2 cards for that price. Much better than Purify, although it does have a special caveat. Blessing of Wisdom. When enchanted minion attacks, draw a card. Okay, it has a possibility to draw multiple cards with 1 mana, but usually it's killed as fast as possible, so it doesn't draw multiple cards. However, you can cast it on your enemy's minion, so either they use that minion to attack, and they draw a card for you, or they don't do anything with that minion, basically locking it down. So there's that. And also, if played smart, it always cycles itself to something else. You use 1 mana to basically draw 1 card. Which is, again, better than Purify. Because you don't have to silence your own minion to do so. But you do need a minion, either on your side or enemy side. Then switch up to Rogue. Shift, 2 mana, deal 1 damage, draw a card. Used to be 1 mana, deal 1, draw a card, but it was deemed too powerful. So its mana cost got amped up, and still it has potential to deal 1 damage that you are missing. And it also replaces itself. So it's quite efficient card. Also, Miracle Rogues use it because 1 mana with Malagos, 6 damage and draw a card. Yeah, you really want that. Fan of Knives, 3 mana, deal 1 to all enemy minions, draw a card. Same applies here as in Shiv. It's very helpful. Then there's Sprint. I originally didn't want to include this, but since it's 7 mana, draw 4. It's still technically more efficient draw than Purify. And, if you use another card, Preparation, 0 mana, next spell costs 3 less this turn, it will make it 4 mana, draw 4 cards. Which is more useful than Purify's effect, and more efficient. Of course, it takes 2 cards, but so does Purify. Shaman. Ancestral Knowledge. 2 mana, overload 2, draw 2 cards. While being worse Arcane Intellect mana-wise, you can play this cheaper on your turn, and then spread the mana requirement on the next turn. That you can remove if you happen to have some specific cards that remove overload. But it also has synergy with some Shaman cards that get bonuses on overload. Then Shamans have Farsight, 3 mana, draw a card. Its mana cost is reduced by 3. It's a complete scrapshoot, what you get, but if you draw anything that costs 3 or more, you have made a large stride in tempo. Then there's Mana Tide Totem, 3 mana, 0/3, at the end of turn, draw a card. Has potential to draw more than one, and it also has a synergy with the current Shaman decks, since there's a lot of Totem synergy going on. And you can also get this card from another minion, randomly. Warlock's Hero Power. Pay 2 mana, 2 life, draw a card. This does not take a card slot. This is important since you can only have 30 impactful cards in your deck. Sure, paying 2 life is downside, but it won't affect your current minions in any way, and you can use it on the empty table. So, it's more efficient than Purify. Mortal Coil. 1 mana, deal 1 damage to a minion. If minion is killed, draw a card. 1 damage to a minion, if it dies, get another card. Yeah, I can find use for this, and so do millions of other players who play Zoo and Control. There's many situations where you need that 1 damage to a minion. And if you kill it and get a card, yeah, you win. Not possibly the game, but you win that trade. Darkshire Librarian. 2 mana, 3/2, Battle Cry, discard a card, Death Rattle, draw a card. Possibly the only other card that has so bad synergy and effect that it's not seeing play. But at least it has 3/2 body to go with it, which is competitive, unlike silencing your own minion. Also, this has a minimal synergy with discard decks that have not seen much play, but might see more play now that the new Karazhan cards are introduced. So we'll see. Warrior. Battle Rage. 2 mana, draw a card for each damage-friendly target. Potential ranges from 0 to 8 cards, depending on the board state and time when it's played. But on average, I would say that a decent player draws 2 to 3 cards with 1 Battle Rage. Which, again, more efficient than Purify, and... oh, look at that, doesn't negatively hit your table. Gee. Commanding Shout. 2 mana, all minions you control cannot be reduced below 1 health, draw a card. So, you can keep your board while cleaning opponents with your minions, and you draw a card. Slam. 2 mana, deal 2 damage, if target lives, draw a card. Well, a removal trigger for Execute. Shield block, 3 mana, again 5 armor, draw a card, defensive, and it replaces itself. Also very good in control decks. What do you notice when I went through most of the class-specific draw card effects that are close to the mana cost of Purify? And I did exclude some higher cost draw cards, but mostly I kept it around the same mana price for comparison's sake. And you might notice that all but 2 have either beneficial effects on top of them, are extra on already a decent card, or have ways to be more mana efficient than Purify. The 2 that have bad terms are a Hero Power that does not take room from your deck, making it more consistent in fact, and a card that discards one of your cards but draws a card when it's killed. Stat-wise, it's on par with similar drops on turn 2, and it's a card that no one plays, so again, why would you play Purify then? Some people have theorized that Purify could be used in a priest deck that plays Ancient Watchers, Eerie Statues, Corrupted Healbots, and other minions that have higher than average stat line for the mana cost, but also have a detrimental effect that you can silence away and carry yourself to victory. Well, that's not going to work. Why? For the few basic reasons. 1. When you pay, for example, 2 mana for Ancient Watcher, 4/5, can't attack, and then another 2 mana to silence it and draw a card, you're basically playing 4/5, draw a card, for 4 mana. It's strictly better Chillwind Yeti. And you know what? Chillwind Yeti is not seen anywhere at the moment in this meta. It's not good enough. Yeah, it's good enough in Arena, but it doesn't take 2 cards. So you're paying 2 extra mana to make that card playable and draw a card. 2. Priests already have this power with silence. 0 mana silence target minion. It is more flexible than Purify, as it can be used on enemy minions that have powerful effects, and in any turn you have it, as it does not take any mana to cast. It won't compromise your turn by taking 2 mana that you might need for, I don't know, healing, for a bigger minion, something like that, to possibly stay in the game. And yet, silence does not see any play. Well, okay, it sometimes sees a little bit play on the lower ranks, but very rarely. Why does it see so little play? It's a low impact card. Most powerful effects in the game are battle cries, which activate when the card is played, so no silencing there. Silencing taunt, while might give you the opening to finish off your opponent, well, it still leaves the minion there, so you have to kill it anyway. Or enemy can use it to kill your minions afterwards if you didn't get rid of it. Same thing with end of turn, start of turn effects and buffs. While you might take some power off the card, the body is still there that you have to get rid of using your own resources. So this is why removal cards are so effective. They will remove the card for a relatively low price and let you play another card to contest whatever the enemy is going to play next turn. 3. You actually have to have Purify in your hand with the other card if you want it to silence. If you have one but not the other, the individual pieces are useless. They're not useful. You cannot use them. And you have maximum of 2 Purifies in a deck out of 30, making it 1 in 15. So there's a good chance that you don't get any of your Purifies when you need it. So, what's the point? You're playing 2 cards to make 1 card decent. Not worth it to draw a card for that. Also, some people have mentioned that Shadow Madness plus Purify equals a minion plus card draw. I'm not completely sure if these people have been sarcastic or serious, since sarcasm does not really transfer well on written form, but this does not work. Simply because when you silence the Shadow Madness minion, it removes the mind control effect and immediately returns it to the owner. Simple as that. Doesn't work. To wrap things up, what could make this card okay or even good? Well, in my personal opinion, which might not coincide with the other people, to make this card playable, it needs to be either 1 mana or 0 mana, silence a minion, draw a card, and to make it rare. Why make it rare? Because it won't be offered in Arena as often as it's offered as common, since the occurrence bonus for being a class card and for being a new expansion gives it a 4 times more chance to be offered. So it being one of the 6 rares approximately they give you, okay, but when almost in every single common choice, yeah, that's not good. So making it rare, it has to be done to make it more quality of life changes for the Arena Priest. Even though most people don't play Arena, but still who do, they don't deserve this kind of shit on their shoulders. Priest is already bad there, anyway. If the card is 1 mana, silence a minion, draw a card, it's somewhat on the power curve, but it does not make it really good or useful. Would people play this version? Well, much more likely than 2 mana, shoot yourself in the foot, draw a card. Making this card 0 mana, silence a minion, draw a card, is definite power creep on the silence card, which is not bad since silence is not seeing any play at the moment, and there are some cards that are getting slight power creep as well, like Maelstrom Portal. 2 mana, deal 1 damage to enemy minions, summon a random 1 mana minion. Does this sound familiar? Yeah, it's Arcane Explosion, but with a summon effect attached to it. Different class, but same usability, and it's rare. So I don't see 0 mana silence minion draw a card being too powerful to be an exact power creep. It just improves the card that no one plays. But in the end, we shall see what Blizzard and Hearthstone dev team does. But unless they do something about this card, or at least admit that they screwed up, their credibility is going to take quite a hit. Anyway, this was my look on the card, and there was surprisingly a lot to say about it. I'm sure I did not think everything, but overall I think I did a pretty good deconstruction of this card and laid it out how it is. I have been Deathfrosty, and if you enjoyed this video, please consider sharing it with someone else who might also enjoy the video. But for now, I bid you a good day, and I hope I will see you in the next video. Bye bye. So, as I was editing this video, I found out that about 12 hours ago, Ben Brode, one of the designers of Hearthstone, had come up something to say about Purify. And this is basically what he said. The card was not intended to be powerful. Internally, they tried silence any minion, but they're trying to cut back on silence to see what the game feels like without it. Purify was 1 mana at one point, but was changed due to the playtester using it to cycle through cards. Ben acknowledges they messed up with timing on Purify with the community's current views on Priest class. Purify is good for the game, but may be better in a set with flashy, exciting Priest cards. Ben has hopes for Dragon Priest. I don't know how this fits into anything. Purify will not show up in Arena. This is due to them not having a system in place where they can balance card appearances individually, but do have one which can remove cards completely from the draft. It won't solve arena balance, but it is a step in the right direction. That was a quote. So, okay, I'm glad that they realized that this was a bad thing. But to be honest, they don't see the whole picture here. They tried to silence any minion, but since they're trying to cut away from silencing minions, so they gave it silence a friendly minion instead? What? What's the logic here? And it used to be 1 mana card, but people are using it to cycle through cards. What else are you going to do with it? Even as 2 mana card. It is to cycle through. Silence is so freaking minimal effect on the game. Especially if it's goddamn your own minions. There's nothing else to do except cycle it away to get some more high impact card. Seriously. Think about it. And how is Purify good for the game? Is it good because it gives them clear indication what is the worst card and do not go underneath that? Even if they mean, or if Ben means that he has hopes for Dragon Priest, that people should use this in a Dragon Priest, why? Which dragons are you going to silence? Why would you silence your own dragons? Most of them have beneficial fucking powers. Why? I feel like Ben Brode has just answered here to the most vocal outcry, but hasn't understood what he is answering to. So basically he just throws in words and hopes that they won't nail his balls to the wall for this. Well, at least some of the things I brought up have been correctified, so thank for that. But still, this card, the worst ever.